Hello and welcome back. Another episode of United We Stand, Divided We Podcast. And as you see, we fixed the intro. Unfortunately, we still can't get his computer fixed. So my co-host, Lionel from...
You don't know where I'm from?
I was wanting you to say it.
It's Toronto.
Yeah, see, every time I say it, you always correct me. So I let you say where you're from.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know what? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, depending on what time you're watching it and where you're watching it from. We are going to have a slightly shorter program here because we've got some, well, on my end, it's a bit of a weird technical issue, but we're going to talk a little bit more about technology. Speaking of technical issues, and of course, AI is a huge thing. Everybody is doubling down and tripling down, really, their efforts. And Meta's jumping up there pretty good. And what's it called? Open AI. There's some other things coming through. There is also apparently a lot of disappointment in regards to Apple's so-called intelligence.
You know, one thing we've never talked about, and I recently kind of looked at it a little bit, and it's actually really cool, is Claude by Anthropic, which is Amazon's. That's Amazon's.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. So did I. And then I was watching a podcast about some stuff, and somebody had mentioned them. Like, oh, let me check that out. And it doesn't do any like real data queries. Right. It's strictly of, here's my information, do this to it, or tell me this about it, things like that. Which it does a pretty good job.
It sounds like it's something that would be pretty convenient. And I keep forgetting to try it out. I should have tested it out a little bit because it just seems like something that would be very convenient for what it needs to do right there. Because, I mean, yeah, I could use OpenAI, I could use Gemini, but it's still only going to get the information, either whatever's available on that page or whatever information it can come up for that particular product. Whereas theirs should be able to analyze everything in regards to the sale of it from their point. So if there's good and bad reviews, I'm assuming that this will be able to actually, help you find that stuff quicker.
Well, again, it can't do any real live data search.
No. Well, not live data search outside of its own site, but I'm talking about within it.
No, it can't even do that.
It can't even do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. It
right. You got me on that
one. It analyzes what you give it. So, like, for example, I could give it a script and say, hey, get me keywords from this, or summarize this, or how can I rephrase this?
This does more than what I was thinking. Okay, I'm thinking on one end of it, but you're talking about that it actually does more, but it only does it locally with what you provide it.
Right. Like I had put something in there asking a question, and it said, I'm sorry, as of April 2023 or something, I can no longer access the internet for live data or something like that. I forget the verbiage. And so again, it's like you have to give it the actual information as a whole, not in part. You can't make it go search for the information. It has to already have it.
Yeah, all right. That's interesting. If somebody wants to use that, sure, why not? Competition is competition. Although I don't see much of a competition. That basically be like watching, the Albuquerque senior citizens playing against, the New York Rangers or something.
Well, I see what they're doing with it, and I mean in this podcast, of course, I wasn't prepared to give a full, dissertation on Claude, but it actually has a really good use case, and it was pretty powerful in the way I watched somebody use it, and a lot of people are using it in conjunction with, so it's not a.
Yeah, no, here's the $1 million question, because I think we should move on to something that's more capable, because I want to talk more cutting edge stuff here. How, from what you've seen so far, does this compare to being able to throw that exact same information into Gemini?
In some respects, it actually does a better job of
Really?
dissecting your data.
Really?
What you're giving it. Because
now,
of
are you
how
sure about that? Have you tried that with 2.0 experimental yet?
Well, no.
Okay.
It's, you know, again, it's how the AI algorithm is trained to look at things.
Okay.
And so it does things different. I mean, obviously, you know,
yeah,
we get stuck on this for an
well,
hour.
I think we should both, is that a free one or does it cost money or? Okay.
No, it's free.
Then I think we should both figure something like find something, come up with something to throw into it. I can't use what do you call it? OpenAI stuff, Chat GPT for anything serious because I don't pay for it, and they don't have their free model is garbage, to be quite blunt. Gemini, on the other hand, of course, I can use. Well, you're telling me I can use whatever. What's it called? Bob or Jim or something?
Claude.
Claude, right? What a name. What a Claude. Anyways, no offense to anybody whose name is Claude. Anyways, but yeah, I think we'll test it out, and then next week we can give our results. Your separate results from mine and say, yeah, this is what I got from Gemini. This is what I got from, and any other one that you can get your hands on. You may have access to something I don't, because again, no computers. It might be a little more difficult for me, but I do know that I can use Gemini from my phone. And this Claude thing, I should be able to, I think, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So like I pasted like some text in. I said, hey, create me a description, blah, blah, blah. And it actually did a really good job of spitting out, some really detailed information. I'm trying to find one real quick here. So, So it says, so I said, give me some ranked keywords from this video. And I put a link in the URL to the video. Like Gemini and ChatGPT can actually watch a YouTube video, right? And they can give you a, synopsis, or not synopsis, a breakdown of the text just generated from the closed caption file.
Yes.
Right? So this says, I apologize. I'm not able to open or watch YouTube videos or any other external links. To help you analyze keywords from your video, could you please paste the video's title, description, transcript directly into our conversation? Once you share that content, I can help rank keywords. Provide.
Okay, here's the thing. I could see why that would be beneficial in certain situations, but there's no way you're going to convince me that both Chat GPT and Gemini aren't capable of doing it. Maybe they do it differently, but keeping in mind that both Chat GPT and Gemini are capable of you actually saying, oh, well, that's great, but can you do it like this instead? So you can always manipulate it into doing it again, or just making a small tweak or whatever. But again, I want to find out. But I'm going to do something differently than what you're doing. Like you may do that and analyze that. I may just decide to throw in a document. I don't know what it's going to be. It could end up being my resume. I don't know. But I'll put something in there, or maybe I'll ask it to do a book report or something, and I'll give it. If I can find an ebook that is like a downloadable. What's the word I'm looking for? Something that won't that's free to use.
PDF,
because there are actual books that are free to download and use and read.
Yeah. So see, here's one that I said, what topics are trending for smart home? And it said, since my knowledge cutoff is April 2024, let me focus on discussing broader smart home trends and topics that would be valuable for your YouTube channel rather than speculating about very recent trends. So it's like it can't actually get to information unless you give it to it. So it actually
it also sounds kind of like your argument about it being pretty decent. It's falling apart.
Well,
let's move on from Bob or whatever it's called.
Dude, it's Claude. Claude, right? CLAUDE. Claude.
Claude. Yes. Let's move on from Claude And let's talk about, okay, Gemini, because what are the yeah, this is embarrassing. Whatever the trade show is, the big trade show like every year at this time. See, yes. Google, and they have a presence there, pretty much every year, right? But they're not throwing out products right now. They're of course just talking about what they have and how they're going to improve upon this stuff. But vaguely, of course, because they save all their information for I/O. But a hint of how I/O is going to go is going to be pretty obvious, because I/O has traditionally talked about the next version of the operating system. But this time, the next version of the operating system is going to be coming out approximately a month after I/O, roughly, give or take, maybe somewhere between 3.5 and 6 weeks. So that's crazy, because, yeah, we're looking at late, somewhere between mid-June and very early July for the new OS. For Android 16. So they're talking about getting a lot more AI stuff going, because they want to build it in a lot more deeply, even more so than Assistant Google. Can I say that? Yes, I can. Google Assistant was, because Google Assistant, of course, always had some limitations, and people would, say, oh, they're still to this day saying, oh, I wish it would do as much as Assistant did. Now, to be honest with you, most of the stuff that Assistant did, I've turned on all the extensions that are available so far, and I haven't got really any issues. For the most part, it just does almost everything. More than enough for my taste. I can't wait till my Home Mini actually gets updated, because they're all going to be up. Sorry, the Nest Mini. It has to be the second generation and up, is going to get the Gemini update eventually. So I'm looking forward to that. But right now, as of, what was it, yesterday or the day before, Gemini 2.0 experimental is not only available on the web, you now have in the app access to it. Rather, you have to turn it on. And I don't really know how much of a difference there is at this point. I haven't done enough experimenting with it yet. But apparently there are some advantages over it. It's still experimental, but I think we will see it progress to a final, probably before I/O. It could even be sooner, a month and a half or something. I don't know, but certainly by I/O, because I think in Google I/O, they're going to start talking about what Gemini 3.0 is going to be able to do. And that, when they talk about the multimodal stuff, one of the things it can't do multimodal is when it's analyzing video. For the reasons you were talking about, it has to concentrate specifically on that. Now, you understand more about how that does that. So I'll let you kind of sort of mention that a little bit. But the new version that they have already been experimenting with, and we're not going to see too soon, is fully multimodal. And then they'll be able to analyze the actual video itself, plus descriptions and everything, plus doing at least two other things at the same time. So how does it work right now if I want to get Gemini to analyze a YouTube video for me?
Well, you just pasted the link to the actual video. And by my understanding, it does look at the video content, but I remember I put a link into a video that did not have a closed caption file, and it told me that it couldn't give me the information I wanted because it had no textual content to read about what the video was like saying, so to speak.
Yeah. So it can do the description, but it can't really tell what's actually happening in the video in any form of real time during the video.
I did it apparently not, but
unless it has closed captioning where I could at least read the words of what's happening. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, technically speaking, Gemini may be a little bit out of its infancy, but it's still not barely. It's a tween. It's not even a teenager yet. Yeah, so if you want to use that kind of analogy, it's just starting to get really nasty to its parents now.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of this is in its infancy, but I think in some instances, I think it's getting pushed out too fast, and so they're having to chase the the mistakes and having to chase the errors as opposed to fixing the errors and then
Are
releasing
they
it.
chasing the white rabbit?
That's that's Gemini, that's ChatGPT. I think it's with all of them because everybody, just like how you're talking with Google, is really starting to put 2 feet forward, trying to get in front of everything because
they're fully admitting that they're trying to catch up.
Right, that's
because
what I'm saying.
There are advantages to a couple others. Yeah, because ChatGPT actually they have a couple of advantages as we speak right now. They may not be as robust because they're not built into anything, right? They're not fully baked in to Apple, even though they're using it. They're not fully baked into Windows, even though they're using it. But with Gemini, you're still only half baked. and pun intended. But yet at the same time, there are capabilities that ChatGPT, if it was baked into an operating system, would have some of those advantages. So Google wants to kind of catch that up and then take that step ahead. So you're right, that's a good analogy, putting both feet forward. But as you're saying, though, in that analogy, it's also easy to trip up and make a mistake.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a couple of times where we're gonna go, oh, that's gonna be great, and it may not work out of the gate the way they intended. So,
well, as we all know, in 1 week will be the Unpacked event from Samsung, where they're releasing their S25 line, and I think
Google's trying to push up Ultra 2.0 to be better for that. Sorry, go on.
No, I am going to get the Ultra. So I'm actually really anxious to see if there's a whole lot of difference. I don't have the 24, I still have the 23. So I didn't even get the first AI, based device.
Right.
So I'd be curious to see if, how much different. I'm not even going to say better. I can't say better until I test it, but how much different the interaction is with Gemini on that phone.
Well, you know what? I think where you'll notice it is that because the whole experimental thing is going, and the 2.0 Flash experimental been on the phone for 2 weeks already, I think, at least. So I think they're going to try to maybe even consider having the 2.0, at least the Flash version, available a little bit earlier, because when the stuff gets done locally on your phone, and this is the other thing about Gemini, unlike ChatGPT, you can technically be using 2 or even 3 versions of Gemini almost simultaneously, as they can actually switch from one to the other seamlessly. As an example, when you have anything that you do on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, for instance, and it just needs to be some local thing, it actually uses the Flash model. It doesn't use 1.5 Pro. It uses 1.5 Flash. So this is obviously going to be the exact same thing they're going to do with the new Samsung phones. And then, of course, there are some other things that Samsung likes to throw in. Let's add this to it as well. So they're likely working very closely with Google to make sure those things go very smoothly. So I think we might see the 2.0 come up even sooner than I was thinking, because I totally forgot about the Samsung part of it equation.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. It's coming up in a week, and apparently, I think they're saying that you're not going to be able to get, the phone's not going to get in your hand until the first week or 2 of February. But that's
not surprising. That's not surprising.
Well, no, it's always like that. Yeah,
and that's only a couple of weeks. So
yeah. So,
it's a little slower than you might want. You kind of be like, oh, there it is. I wish I could order it right this second, and just go and get it.
Well, they'll have the pre-orders. So, I'll be able to order it, and the pre-orders will go out before,
right.
Or they usually ship pre-orders the day or the same time they open for public purchase. So the pre-order people get theirs, a day or 2 ahead of time.
What's really odd though? Normally I'd say, oh, don't forget to send some pictures and videos. I want to see I don't even care, because I don't see any of the flagships putting out bad pictures and videos. It's 100% subjective at this point. There's nothing. Yeah. First of all, you're going to be able to shoot your HDR videos and pictures. You're going to have display P3 option available to turn that on, or maybe it'll be right out of the box. I don't know. So you're going to have richer colors. And it's like there's just no such thing as a bad camera. Like, I mean, the room I'm in right now is almost dark. Right, and this is no different than what you're going to get from Samsung, from yours at least and up.
No.
The S24, was it better? Maybe, maybe not. Will the camera be better on the 25? Is it 25 you're going to?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, 25,
and
yeah.
the cameras on the 25 are pretty much identical as the 24, with the exception of, instead of a 12 megapixel wide angle lens,
they're finally going to a 50 or whatever. Yeah. That's basically the trend that basically Google started. Well, they didn't really; it was some other company, but Google made it more popular, and it makes sense, because why do you want to use a crap camera compared to the other ones? You know, you go, oh, I got this great picture, and then this other one's tiny, right? So, and some people won't do that. But here's the thing: Samsung's processor, especially on this one, is going to be more than powerful enough to take an almost instantaneous picture at 50 megapixels. Google still has to wait for the Pixel 10 Pro for it to be an instantaneous snap at 50 megapixels. Now, the thing is, I don't know why they haven't been able to figure that out since before, when I've been using mirrorless cameras that could shoot 24 megapixel shots with what amounts to a much weaker processor. I mean, I get it. It's only doing that. It's not, getting a 5G signal at the same time, right? But it takes a much more robust picture on a much larger sensor instantaneously. And I can, with that camera, I was shooting 14 or 16 or whatever it was frames per second, raw. That were 20 some odd megapixels, and of course you get the bigger pro size cameras, and they're shooting 20 frames per second raw.
And that's another
on
thing
full
they're
frame
adding,
sensors.
the 24 doesn't have, is they're adding raw capability in the 25.
What are you talking about? You have raw capability in your camera now?
No.
Oh, you're talking about raw video then?
Yeah.
You don't want that.
No, I'm just saying.
You're a filmmaker. You do not want that. You need
right. No. That's what I'm saying, though.
External.
That's what I'm saying.
Excuse me.
They're saying
I know people
adding
brag about that with iPhones,
who want advanced capability of being able to shoot that type of video.
Hey, listen, it's an excellent option, and I think if the devices and the processor is capable of doing it, it should be an option. I don't like the argument, oh, nobody's going to use it. Some people will. It's not going to be that many in the grand scheme of things, but it doesn't hurt you to put that option in, because it doesn't cost anything extra to do it. Right. So it makes sense, because now you have a real competition against the iPhone, because some filmmakers actually do shoot legitimate professional works with iPhones. Some of them do it even with Pixel phones. But here's the biggest difference. You cannot shoot raw video with a Pixel phone. And until this 25, obviously, you won't be able to do that with that. However, the big thing is not raw. What I want to know is when, with a Pixel phone or with the Samsung, we'll be able to shoot not raw, but oh my goodness, I forgot what it's called. I'm having one of those days again. Let me pick up my phone. Wow, this is weird. I'm going to ask Gemini. Hey, Gemini, I'm having a bit of a brain fart right now. I want to be able to shoot video, not in RAW and not in JPEG, but the format where I can do color correction very easily.
You're likely thinking of LOG video formats.
Log. Yes. Log video. iPhone shoots log. Log is absolutely the greatest thing, because it retains all of the color information. It's nowhere near as big as a RAW. It's pretty close to the size of the regular video, a little bit bigger. It gives you tons of space to shoot more video, and then editing it is super easy, because the one thing about it is shooting with a smartphone is the color correction is so difficult, because it's baked into the system and you can't even get it. I mean, I found ways to get it out and then try to bring it back, but it's 3 times the work of shooting log, and all you got to do is slap the colors onto it. I'm exaggerating that. It's not that simple, but it is cool. And there's free editors that allow you to do it, and very inexpensive ones. And you can actually pay a relatively small amount of money, even for CapCut. They have a pro version or whatever they call it that allows you to do color correction. It's actually not bad for the cheapness of it. So
yeah, you just said log, and it made me stop for a minute because I'm wondering if it's that, because I remember reading
could be.
something about
log is basically short for logarithmic.
right. I know, but
Okay.
I was thinking it was saying raw, but you know,
Well, it's possible. I mean, it's gonna have a pretty powerful processor, right? Unless the rumors are true and they decided
it's saying it supposedly will have the ability to shoot videos in log.
Oh, okay. All right. So it is log. So this pretty much confirms it to me then. If they're doing that and they work so closely with Google, the Pixel 10 Pro and XL versions will definitely have log video because they're going to have their own, finally have the in-house built processor is going to be way more powerful and way better. And they're finally going to throw that log video in. They dang well better anyways. Because they basically be the only major manufacturer that doesn't shoot log, because you can get, I'm pretty sure you can shoot log on the top in OnePlus even at this point now.
Supposedly the Snapdragon 8 Elite is a pretty powerful processor. So
oh yeah, of course it is. It's I don't know if it's as powerful as Apple's, but here's the thing about Apple's. Apple's is kind of overpowered. It doesn't need to be as powerful as it is because the way the operating system works for iOS is different, and that's why they can get away with so much less RAM and still run so efficiently. It's just the way their operating system is written is different. And I make that argument a lot of times. Like a lot of people would say, "Oh, this is better than that, and that's better than this," and yeah, but there's reasons that this has an advantage over that, and why that has an advantage over this, and that's why I don't like the comparisons of processing power between Apple and Samsung. Samsung and Google, sure, because you're talking about two different processors with the same operating system, right? So that's completely different. Where Google compares with a much weaker processor is the way they've enhanced the operating system and made it so efficient that most things operate within milliseconds of the same time it'll be done on a much more powerful Samsung.
Well, comparing iOS to Android is not comparing apples to apples.
No, it's not even apples to oranges. It's more like apples to pomegranates. I mean, it's like I don't even know what a pomegranate is. Just to put that into perspective, I do, but it sounded funny by saying I didn't. But anyways,
you didn't even get my joke.
Well,
apples.
I did.
Apples
what?
to. I said apples to apples. Apple. iOS.
Okay, listen,
Android.
Dad joke central. That's okay. That's why I didn't get it. That was pretty terrible. But you know what?
I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it was good.
No, and it wasn't. I'm just going to throw that out there. But okay. I don't remember what I was going to say now. Although I'm going to be looking forward to how things are going to go over the course of the rest of the year, because Google's not going to be nearly as far behind. They're only going to be about 6 months behind Samsung now, instead of nearly a year. And with their own processor, which, by the way, people aren't understanding. They've already been experimenting with the thing, and until they actually start to get close to the final prototype design and everything, and they've got all things almost finalized, they can still tweak their design on that chip, because they only need to verify that it's exactly what they want, and then test it for a few months before they can start saying, all right, this can start shipping in these. So now we can start testing the new OS with this chip. But they're already working on it. So if they want to make it more powerful, I guarantee you, much like Samsung or much like Snapdragon has, is they've got a chip that they can underclock or overclock, and probably by a large margin. So if they see that they need to put more into it, they'll clock it more. it's not going to be something that's going to be, oh, they're only going to make a 2800 megahertz chip and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but you got to be
And that's
careful
as far
doing
as-
that because you don't want to create a overheating situation.
Well, no, absolutely not. And that's one reason why Google does what they do. And but this is a different system that they're doing now, right? So they've been experimenting this for 10 years. Like they've been literally working on it for 10 years. A lot of people don't think that they're only doing it for a year. No, they've been working on it for 10 years. And they finally got the manufacturing process. They've been, and the one that they've got now, they've obviously built probably thousands of them, run them into the ground and deliberately burned them out to see what they could take. They overheat them, they overclock them, and they continue to do that. And then there's a safety zone. It's no different than the Snapdragon or a Pentium. Jesus, help me out here.
Pentium.
It's all about the Pentiums, baby.
Man.
Weird Al. No, whatever the hell. I haven't got a working computer, so I don't remember what's in these things. Anyways, any of these processors, like the laptop, that thing was actually overclocked by a gigahertz, a little more than a gigahertz. But it's done safely. That thing never had an overheating problem. So the issues I have nothing to do with overheating. And it otherwise would work fine. Except for whatever the problem is keeping it from staying on. But in any case, so pretty much everybody either over or underclocks. Now I say that because the Pixel 6, 7, and 8 have all been, well, I don't know if I should say proven, but maybe they have been, but a lot of people have said that they've done tests on these specific chips, and Google has underclocked 3 consecutive up to this one. I don't know about the Pixel 9 Pro XL. I don't have the information on what that thing is capable of at this point. But the 6, 7, and 8 were all underclocked, which is interesting because they were weaker than everything else on the market as it is anyways, but they were underclocked. The Pixel 7 specifically was hugely underclocked. So
Well, I'm sure that had to do with thermals.
it did. If you remember how hot the 7 got, I mean, that was in the news every day. So they had no choice. And I mean, it's really too bad they didn't just say, let's just go with the Snapdragon and charge everybody, an extra $30 for the phone. I would have gladly paid $30 more for a phone that wasn't going to overheat all the time. And I bet a lot of the issues you had were probably due to the chip being too hot too.
I have no idea. My issue for leaving wasn't so much the phone as it was the piss ass support I got. But still, you wouldn't have had to worry about the support if the phone had worked. Granted.
So in all reality, and it wasn't the first phone you had the issues with. So, I mean, you were beyond frustrated. And then when you get bad customer service, that's just the camel that broke the straw's back. So, but you know what, with that said, like I said, we have a little bit of a shorter show today. So,
one thing you rushed me through this.
What?
And there's one thing I wanted to mention to you because you sent me the article about Gemini being available in Google Workspace accounts as part of their paid plans. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that got me thinking. I got to looking, and so here's a weird thing. So I currently pay for a 2 terabyte Google One Drive account that carries with it the Gemini Advanced capability.
Right.
It's $20 a month.
I get it free for a year, but yes.
With my Google Workspace account that I pay for on my Gadget Guys Tech channel, which that's attached to a Google Workspace account, I can spend $12 a month and get the same thing.
Right.
What? 2 terabytes, advanced.
Wait a minute. You don't get Gemini Advanced. Wait a minute.
Yes,
you don't get Gemini Advanced. With that, you still have to pay for Gemini Advanced outside of that, don't you?
No.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. They're raising the price of it, though.
Well, even if they raise it the price amount they said, which they said it'll probably go up like $2 or $3, it's still not $19.
But now here's the thing. Your personal stuff isn't in Google Workspace, is it?
Well, technically, it's yeah. I mean, all those accounts now are called Google Workspace accounts, and I buy the additional space and storage and features
Right.
for my personal account. But it's the same thing. Google
Yeah.
Notebook LM Advanced or Plus, whatever they're calling it. Gemini Advanced. It's the same thing. So why is it $5 or $6 cheaper if I just go with my own domain? Maybe that's why, because I'm using my own domain instead of.
I don't know. The only thing I know is because I have the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I'm not paying for the entire Gemini Google One thing for the year.
Well, yeah, and when I buy the S25, apparently it's available with that free for a year as well. So
yeah, which basically means that you starting from the end of whatever month you're in, you won't pay anything for a year from that date. So
we'll see how that works out, because it's a completely separate purchase.
It knows what it knows what it is. So when you buy the phone, right, as soon as you go to log into it, it shows you the option. You just take advantage of that, and then the next time you go look at it, it will just show you that you don't have to pay for whatever that date is a year later.
We'll see.
So I didn't know. No, that's exactly. I'm telling you, because that's exactly how the Pixel did it. The reason that they're doing it is because, again, they worked with Google to do that. So again, it's giving that advantage, because both Samsung and Google are both thinking the exact same thing. That's why they work together. Samsung wanted to just say, okay, well, we're putting all of this stuff into that, and eventually that's going to fall apart. They recognize that. So you start walking in with the king, who's actually a king of a much smaller territory, but has way more clout in that area. Then you say, okay, well, you guys be in charge of this, and we'll throw in everything that we have so you can make your stuff better, and then we'll take down the guy in the other territory. So they're competing against Apple together. Right?
As of the time of when I looked at it this afternoon, they have not raised the rate in the Google Workspace, and those features are already available as part of the account.
Yeah, so no, I get that.
So, I mean, it's like, what? So, I mean, I understand that when you get the phone, you get the Gemini Advanced, but you don't get the 2 terabytes of space. So what I'm thinking about doing is moving all my data from my personal to my Workspace account. And
okay, I see where you're going with this. Yeah. Because see, here's the thing: is I'm pretty sure I don't remember exactly how that worked, but apparently I'm not paying for any of that Google One Advanced stuff at all for the next year, because the thing is that I paid for the Google One and the 2 terabytes already. Basically, when they announced, oh yeah, this is going to come with Gemini Advanced, blah blah blah, but when I got the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it said, oh, you get this for free. So that just automatically,
you get 2 terabytes of space for free.
Yeah, basically. I haven't paid since October, and I looked at it, and I don't have to pay again until October or November, whatever it is, of later this year. So.
Interesting. So maybe it's not just the Gemini Advanced. Maybe it's the
Google One with Gemini
level Advanced that gives you the advanced
Gemini
that they're
Advanced.
Giving you for
yes.
free.
Now the thing about that is, for somebody like me, I don't need all of the extra Workspace stuff, right? But a lot of the stuff that Workspace would give you is available if you have the one of the higher tiers of Google One in the stuff that it gives you. There's just certain things I can't do, like personal email or whatever, or you know what I mean, stuff like that, right? Certain collaboration tools that I don't exist for me that do exist for you, that kind of thing. Right. But a lot of that stuff can be kind of half-assed around and done to the same effect if you have the 2 terabyte Google One version of everything, because all of the apps are technically available to you anyways, and many of them are free anyways. The ones that aren't are usually available in that level of the Google One plan. Things like Notebook LM that you mentioned is free. It doesn't matter. You only have to have a Google account to use Notebook LM. You don't have to pay for anything. You can use that with the free 15 gigabytes that they've been offering for 25 years.
Apparently, it's a LM Plus.
Oh, there is? Oops.
That's what it said. It said
I did not even know that.
Plus.
That's new to me. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
but I did not know that.
That's my point. I mean, there's so much changing, and I mean, depending on I'm going to not make any changes until after I get the phone and I see how this account, because now that you say that, maybe my whole personal account will be no charge if that's the case. If they're giving you that level of Google One type service as opposed to just Gemini Advanced.
Well, except for one thing, though.
We'll see.
You already said that you are paying for Workspace, so if you still need those collaborative things that it gives you and stuff like that, or if you have an email, what's not personal? What's the word I'm looking for? A custom email.
So the Google Workspace for Business is what I'm paying for on my other tech channel account that has my Cloud9 Tech.
So this is separate from your personal one.
Google Workspace Personal. They're all Workspace accounts now. It's just business and personal.
All right.
So on the personal side, what I'm saying is that if I get that personal level of the 2 terabytes, Gemini Advanced, all that for free, like you did, well, then I'm golden. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Or
you do. You have to opt in. You have to opt into it one time.
I'm not talking about opting in and not opting in. I'm talking about moving my data around.
Right.
Otherwise, if I don't get the 2 terabytes and I'm still having to pay for that, well, then I'm moving it over to my business Workspace account where I have to 2 terabytes, and I'm changing my personal one down to like.
But no, wait a minute. Hang on a second. Has it not been true for a long time that Google shortchanges Workspace users on some features? Like, it doesn't work with Workspace.
Well, yeah, like for example, I can't share my Google Drive data with my wife on her, because her business account is also Google Workspace account. It doesn't let you use it. I had to create a personal Gmail account in order to be able to share all my smart home stuff and shit with her, because it wouldn't let me share it.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
You can't log into
You still have to do that one way or the other. Yeah.
Right. I'm just talking about the sheer amount of data, like the data storage.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I don't know. It's interesting.
I do think there should be a better workaround with that. If you had, like, for instance, you have a business Google Workspace account, you should be able to tie your personal thing into it if it's your business Workspace account anyways, so that you can take advantage of those benefits, but
here's the difference. Here's the difference. And the biggest reason for that is because on the business side of things, they offer certain SLA guarantees with some of the core product that they don't with the personal. So like on Nest, it's, and there's certain securities that are applied to the business where you can log into my business account and I can restrict certain things, which I don't have that capability on personal. Well, if I tied those in, then I would lose that capability of managing that aspect. So I think that's probably why they do it.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So, there you have it. So
there you have it.
Big things coming. Samsung, new phones, and probably some other gadgets. It's unpacked, so they're going to unpack more than one thing. And Google and their AI. I find out some more about the CES stuff and see what else has come down the pike. Maybe we can talk about some of the CES stuff next week. See what's been. I haven't heard a hell of a lot of exciting stuff because I haven't been paying as much attention as I used to. I used to watch this stuff religiously because everything was just huge news.
Tons of automation stuff, and it's full of tech. Smart.
Well, I want to find out if they finally have robotic vacuums. Oh, that's right. That's 20 years ago already.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say good night on my end of it.
Next Wednesday, I will let you know that I ordered my phone, and we'll see how that goes. So, hey,
Yeah.
I'm Robert from the U.S. We'll catch you next week.
Lionel from Toronto, and we'll see you again soon.
Peace out.